Oh, it's actually good.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Here, you have to line it up. Okay. Hey, we're live. I'm playing around with the phone and we're live.
Hey, it's been that kind of day, you guys. So sorry.
Whew, you throw food in your diet and look what happens. It hits the fan. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it hits the can. But anyway, all right. This is perhaps the most important video because I'm telling you right now, you can blow it. You can blow all your hard efforts right here. I have watched everybody blow it. I'm telling you. I was just in the kitchen eating, right? It's like the first meal. I had to pull back. I mean, it's like it's like a train. That's me. I mean, and then I was like, okay, I'm not going to blow this thing because you will go into digestive crisis. That's all I'm telling you.
Did I miss that?
What?
Did you just eat again?
Very little, but I had to stop myself.
Dang.
But, I mean, honestly, it's like, so yeah, we had our first meal probably like an hour and a half ago, and then I came home and I started eating again. It's like, oh, no. It's got to slow down. So don't do it. I mean, I'm telling you, Jeff Hayes, if you're watching, you are the criminal of this. I've already been asked, when do I drink wine? Okay, at least wait till Saturday night. I mean, and go slow, easy. Your body just cleansed itself. But I'm telling you, your digestive enzymes are low. Things are low, right? Your microbiome has to readjust. If you put a lot of food in there, a lot of calories, because we're going to talk about that first, you just don't have the power there to digest it. And, I'm telling you, add a stress to your gut that can screw up your gut for months, and then you'll be healing that. Don't do it. Okay?
Whiskey?
So, no. Did someone ask that? You're reading the question? I hope no one asked
Letitia.
that. Okay, that's funny. All right, so one of the most important things are, in fact, calories. So I give you a little range here, men and women. So I made it easier than I explained it last time. Day one, men, 800 to 1,000 calories, women, 500 to 800. So that's, it really is based on body size, weight, muscle, and needs, right? So, that's a range. I mean, if you're a smaller man, stick to 800. That's me. I'm sticking to 800 today, okay? And I'm probably going to be a little under. Ladies, again, smaller, bigger, 500 to 800, okay? Day two, we go a little stronger. 1,000 to 1,200. Women, 800 to 1,000. Day three, normal caloric intake. By then, your digestive enzymes are going to be up. And one of my tips that I'll show at the end, and I'll remind you again, is take enzymes. It'll help. I mean, any type of digestive enzyme is just going to help fire it up again. So it's not something you have to stay on, but for the first couple days, absolutely helps. Your HCl is low, and that's what helps you break down meat. And by the way, that's what we bring here, day one foods. You'll see there's no meat, okay? No grains either. I didn't write that on here because I forgot. And it's typically going to be best in one or two meals, okay? And that's exactly what I did today. I did a larger meal and a small meal, and I'm done. So, broth. One of the great things, I haven't eaten mine yet, but it's part of my 800 calories. I'm going to do some bone broth. Keto and Fire, you can buy at Whole Foods. But soft cooked veggies. Cooked is the key word here. Raw veggies, day one. Don't think I'm going to eat healthy and eat raw. They're harder to digest. Cook them well. You can blend veggies, like you could do a blended romaine lettuce salad. But, again, blending probably like uncooked veggies, probably even better the second day. Avocados are great. That was part of my first meal. A little bit of olive oil. You could put some cottage cheese on it. Easy to digest cheese. And olives. Olives are great just in general. There you have it. You get it every once in a while. Y'all are blessed. You get the dog bark. We want to re-inoculate the good bacteria because we starve down all bacteria, good and bad. So this is our opportunity to bring the good guys higher, and that's a way to beat dysbiosis. So all of our microbiome is down. This is great. You could get a kefir. I mean, they have this stuff at Whole Foods now. Yogurt, plain, and again, get a good one. I forget that, Marilyn, reach into the couple that we have. The one that Olivia likes, I think we have in there, and it's actually a cultured yogurt, so it's really good for re-inoculating. And you can put some berries in it. Berries are great to break the thing. I think nut butters, whereas nuts and seeds are coming the second day, nut butters are much easier to digest. People seem to do fine with them. So you could put a little bit of an apple, some berries with some nut butters. Is that the one she likes?
It's the only one I have.
Nah, I can't remember the one. That's a good one, but that one's not cultured, the one that Olivia likes. Olivia, my daughter, if you're watching this, tell them that yogurt that you like. I'm drawing a blank on it. But anyways, they sell different cultured yogurts. That one is perfect. It's 100% grass-fed. Anytime you do dairy, you want to go 100% grass-fed. No exceptions. Not just organic. No. 100% grass-fed on the kefir, on the yogurts, and they do sell these. Kefirs are always fermented, but the yogurt is, you have to get the special cultured yogurts. So ghee and other oils, great. Coconut oil, all of your fats are perfect on this day as well. Fermented veggies, don't overdo it here, but a couple tablespoons of fermented veggies will kick in some of the digestion. A little apple cider vinegar before your meal is another tip that I didn't get to put on here, but is another great tip to stimulate digestion. No meat, as I said. Okay, let's go into day 2. And by the way, if you go to my, I will put the link on my, I was looking for my phone. There's my phone. If you go, I'll put a link, and there was an article released yesterday or today on my website, and it's a fasting article saying that we are meant to fast. But in it, I have this, how to break the fast. I have the calories listed. So I will put a link, I have my team put a link to that article so you can read the article and it reviews what I'm going through. So this is by no means a list of foods. There's other foods, and like I said, we can expand that list, but this gives you some great ideas. Seeds, nuts, and nut butters, I said you can actually do day 1, but nuts and seeds in their raw form, you can start ingesting on day 2. Eggs, no problem. So this is the only meat, if you will, that we start to digest. Not till day 3 do we reintroduce meat into the diet, but eggs are fine, they're easy to digest. I love putting eggs, raw eggs in my shake, absolutely great. Add extra yolks, actually, fantastic. Salads, some of you, day 2, will have no problem with that, but some of you may find it hard even to digest some of the raw salad. So I would wait for most of your raw vegetables until day 3. But romaine lettuce and salads, for many of you could be okay. Cheese, by this time you can actually introduce that. And on day 2, of course, all the foods of day 1 apply also to day 2. Tips, I already gave you, enzymes. And then what's next? This is important. Okay, so day 3, you can go back to normal calories, normal foods, if you will. Add meat back into your diet. Healthy grains, only organic if you're eating them. It depends. But my advice to you is, you just did all this effort to getting fat adapted. My advice would be ride another month out in ketosis. At least 1, maybe 2. And because you earned this fat adaptation so well, ride it. The diet variation strategies, please, if you didn't watch that video, go find it. It's here on the videos, because that's the most important of all. You can add in 1 or 2 fasting days a week, and here's how you do it. Either you don't eat at all, or you eat 1 meal. Better yet, eat 1 meal within that 500 to 800 calories. Make it a partial fast. So those 2 fasting days, Tuesday, Thursday, I wouldn't put them back to back, separate them. But by doing that, you're, again, forcing the autophagy, and you're keeping that stem cell production going, and you're forcing your body to use fat for energy. So 5-1-1, where you do 5 days of ketosis, 1 day of a fast, either no food, partial fast, meaning 500 to 800 calories, and here's the important part, under 20 grams of protein. So low calories, low protein stimulates autophagy. Do that once or twice a week. So 5-1-1 would be 5 days of ketosis, 1 fasting day, and then 1 feast day. Healthy carbohydrates 1 day, or it could be a lot of protein 1 day to stimulate the other pathway opposite of autophagy called mTOR. That reminds the body it's not starving. It's an anabolic day. We need those days to remind the body it's not starving. 5-1-1 or 4-2-1, where you actually have 2 fasting days a week. So that's my advice. Other than that, intermittent fast. Figure out the window you do good with. I taught you how to test. If you didn't see that video, go figure out how to figure out your eating window. And you do that by testing glucose and ketones in the morning and before the first meal. We should see glucose dropping and ketones rising as an indicator. that you're doing the right thing. You're using fat as energy. So rewatch that video because I talk about workouts in there. There's some more details in there that you need. I also talk about how to test for your coffee. Does your coffee work in the morning? What about your fats in your coffee? Is that working? You test glucose right before and 30 minutes after. If your glucose rises, change your beverage. It's not working for your intermittent fast. There's a video on that. So intermittent fast, 8-hour window, eat in an 8-hour window, 6-hour window, maybe even a 4-hour window like I do. So that's what I would do in that 5 days a week if you're doing a 5-1-1, be in ketosis, but intermittent fast for those 5 days. One day, obviously you're going to partial fast, one meal, maybe not eat at all, and then 1 day of a feast. That's the 5-1-1. Okay, so that's what you should continue to do. After a couple months, diet variation, come out of ketosis, maybe just a month, whatever you desire, but break it up. Change the diet. Maybe you go high protein for a couple weeks, maybe a month. Maybe you go plant-based for a month. Whatever it is, but the key is try to move it. And maybe you go ketosis all winter because it works so well. And then in the spring, you go more of a plant-based diet. And again, on my website, I have articles about diet variation. I have, and that's that concept I'm talking about. And I've also done a lot of cellular healing TVs. And that 5-1-1, 4-2-1, that is diet variation, but I like to call that feast-famine cycling, where you're feasting and you're famine. And basically it's forcing the body to adapt. That's why it works so darn well, honestly. It's literally the most important thing that I could teach you. Staying on the same diet all the time, disaster, heading for trouble. So the variation, really important. Weekly, and by the way, I talked about monthly variation for ladies who struggle to fast or struggle in ketosis, low-carb diets, adrenal problems, thyroid problems. Watch the video because I talk about that and I talk about monthly variation strategies. So I don't want to do a whole thing on that. Tonight was really about how to break the fast. Look, don't overcomplicate it. Go slow. Go slow with the calories. Watch the foods. Don't put a lot of meat down there. You don't have enough HCl yet. You don't have enough enzymes. So some tips. Smoothies are great. Blending, obviously, same as making smoothies, and enzymes. Okay.
Do you want? Okay.
Yep. Bring Marilyn. But you have to. She wanted to say something because we were reading something and it was basically it's commanded to us to pray for our leaders, right? To pray for those who are in office, our government. And this is not a political thing at all. It's just something that I don't care if Obama was in office or Trump is in office. We as a people, we need to be praying for our leaders. We live in the greatest country in the world, and we were saying that, and it's hard to watch the attacks, whether you like Trump or not. It's curses that we're putting on him.
On us.
On us.
On us.
On ourselves.
That's what's happening. I mean, I think in this group, we're all really reasonable people, at least the ones I've interacted with. I'm super impressed with, by the way. You guys are just amazing. And I think it's really important to say and to acknowledge the fact that there are a lot of unreasonable people in the world. And I really look at that as just the battle that we're in for our freedom. Just begin and end there. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you believe. If you have freedom, you have the ability to enjoy what you believe without persecution. And so I think that's so important for us to really just stay focused on that and take that charge very seriously, to truly pray for our president. Because if he doesn't succeed, and if this country doesn't succeed, you and I don't succeed either. We don't have freedom to make the decisions we want to make and live the way we want to live and have the opportunities that we have to do the things that we desire and love to do. And by the way, at the end of the day, if we don't have that, because I know people that have lived in communist countries and other places where they don't have just that type of lifestyle, and their lives are miserable. They don't have hope. And what does any man have without hope? Absolutely nothing. That's why we're fasting, right? We are fasting for hope. Whether it's for your health, whether it's for something, from a spiritual perspective, or someone that you love that's not doing well, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If without hope, the people perish.
You know what? My son went to Europe and he spent some time in some really hard areas helping out. And he came back to this country and he was like, we're so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. You know, and it's like whether you like the guy or not, it's really irrelevant. You know, there's a lot not to like. But let me tell you something. It's still our duty to pray because we live in the greatest country in the world. And you know what? I don't care who's in office. We're going to be praying. You know, that's our duty. And you know, we just were burdened by that. You know,
and by the way, here's a charge to you, because this is something I did when I was watching this video, and this man said something about how important it is to just encourage our president. So you know what I did yesterday? I mailed a letter to the president.
Yeah.
And God willing, he reads it. But it was just a letter of encouragement, and it was a Bible verse of, you know, whatever God laid on my heart. And I would just encourage you to do something like that. I mean, I just think it's just a gesture of appreciation for this country.
How much harder to do, and how much more blessing if you don't like the guy, right? And you do it. You know, my father, we were raised differently. You know, my father, there was a reverence for the president. My father always said, you know, once they're elected, you know, it doesn't matter anymore. We back the president. We respect the president. We don't see that anymore, you know? And it's like I had to pull back myself. You know, on a few presidents and say, you know, man, my father would not allow me to speak that way about any president. So think about that. But here's what I wanted to tell you. You know, I shared with you, if you didn't see the video that Mary and I did last night, there were two videos. There was one with Dr. Fung, and then the one that we did. Watch it, because then this will kind of make more sense. You know, I opened up randomly to this, and you know, I mentioned the struggles that we had through my illness. Coming out of my illness, then we ended up with a struggle in court over the kids and horrible stuff, and I mentioned that. But, you know, I wrote things down and I recorded things, thank God, because, you know, it brings me back. And I read this morning, and I got choked up about it because I remembered. And it was funny because I'm like, I guess I have to read this now because I told the group about this. So, you know, this was about blessed are all who wait for him. And that's from Isaiah 30:18. You know, and I had said that maybe your blessing and stuff's not going to come right here. You're fasting for a purpose now. And some of our answers didn't come for a month later, weeks later, whatever it was. And, you know, in this time, I always thought when I read back, like, man, he must be going to show up today. He must be going to show up tomorrow. He must. And it was oftentimes I was very wrong. But anyway, so this was in 2008. I read it most times. But, you know, but now we're not, like, because now we're in the promises that he had, and we waited. But so that sets it up. So listen, so this was important for 2008, I wrote. We will not just be obedient and get the promise, because you have to understand, God gave me very clear 3 promises for our family. So I said we will not just be obedient and get to the promise. It is a process over time, you know, meaning that God wants to give me that promise, but right now I can't handle all the promise, and we couldn't for many reasons.
And gritting out the adversity is where your character is developed.
And that's where it makes you able to handle
absolutely, that's right.
Yeah. So this is 2010 now. Okay, that was 2008. Waiting is something that God has told me over and over again, and he did. The whole time it was like, I mean, I would randomly pick things up. He just said, you just have to wait. You have to trust me, because see, waiting is trusting him, and that's all he wants. And so it's, waiting is something that God has told me over and over again. We are at our all-time financial low. Debt collectors, calling, the house going into foreclosure, no place to run, only the promise that God has given us. That's all I had, honestly. We were losing it all. Between the debt that we from my illness, going into all the court stuff, we went done. We were just absolutely done. This in my business went to tank because of my illness, and then, you know, headlines in the paper, everything. It was horrible. This is where my hope is, and this is what I wait on, meaning that only God, the promises he gave us. So that's what I wait on, and that's the only thing that I had. It will be spectacular. He slowly drew me out of physical collapse. He will draw me out of financial collapse. So I wait. God, I ask in Jesus' name, not any longer. Have mercy, Lord, on us, as you always do. You know, so...
And he did.
And he did.
We didn't go hungry. We never didn't have a place to stay.
He provided.
Our
you know,
kids
I mean, we
maintained their schools. It was a miracle.
A miracle.
We don't even know how it happened when we look back.
I know, honestly.
We
I mean,
don't.
I tell you that was 2010, you know, and then, you know, now we're in His promise of servants, you know, and she predicted years ago when I was sick that, you know, I would not only, I mean,
right, it was not a prediction.
no, I mean, I said the wrong word.
Yeah.
God gave her this. I can't.
I
Think
know
of the right
you know
word.
that, but that's so.
No, but I can't think of the right word.
Oh, God just spoke to my heart.
Yeah.
And just said, not right.
Yeah.
Not only will Danny get well, but he will take a message to the world.
Yeah. So that was spoken over me by her, and I always say that when she did that, it would drive me insane because I couldn't even work. I couldn't do anything, let alone take a message to the world. So
yeah, I probably should have kept that one to myself a little longer.
probably, because I literally, it would just devastate me.
I didn't have much of a filter then. I'm still working on that, by the way.
Absolutely.
So as you get to know me, you'll know that's true too.
It's true. But anyway, so I mean, so here we are, you know, exactly, you know, what God told us would happen, and you know, in the promise, you know, and again, reading back how bad things were. I mean, there it was, collapsing. My health collapsed, but I was trusting, you know. Then financial collapse, and you know, here we are years later, restored. You know, God is, you know, He loves. He's the great Redeemer, you know, and whatever you're going through, He can redeem you.
And by the way, if you truly give Him the glory in your battle, how much more can you depend on Him to show up and show off, as I always say.
So when we fast, honestly, this is where God will lay out the promises, the visions, and I mean,
I wish we had done it then.
Yeah.
We've been saying that lately. Dang, you know.
Yeah, well, we fasted, but it wasn't even for the right.
No,
it wasn't for.
We didn't.
You know,
we weren't
spiritual
fasting
reasons
at that point in life. You know, it wasn't the same. So we really missed what could have happened. So all of you are just. You can just expect it.
Yeah.
You know, just expect it. And again, sometimes it's what we need to learn in that adversity. It usually is always the case. That is why the answer isn't necessarily no. It's just not yet.
Yeah.
And if it's in line with His will, you can count on it, but you just might have to wait for it.
Not yet.
And trust Him and be patient and wait, as you said, is always the operative word. And just know that He is going to show up.
He's typically working on us, and that's
Always.
why, you know, He's waiting, because He knows that if He does this now, you know, you're missing out. You know, so wait. But listen, you fasted. Don't blow it with the diet, and wait on Him. Some of you are going to get amazing answers and insights and visions, and but many of you wait, but trust Him. So there you go.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right,
See.
guys.
Listen, next week this will be this is the last video of the officially the fast. But next week, pay attention, because at the same time, I'll be bringing on some guests, and I'm going to give you some more insights. Some of you are asking more about, because again, you realize, oh my gosh, I'll talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to bring some other doctor guests on. So wait for some videos next week, and some of you are still fasting. So we'll be encouraging you there too. So we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Mm-hmm.